A reading from the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to the opening of the prison for those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. The fulfillment of this scripture, as you have heard it, is today. This is the year of the Lord's favor. This is a year of jubilee, a year the poor, the brokenhearted, the captive, and the blind are offered redemption. Here, now.
Jesus, please explain why you stopped the reading before Isaiah spoke of the day of vengeance of our God.
The day of vengeance is in the future. If you do not realize that you need a year of the Lord's favor, then I cannot save you.
Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to our third Take 5 on this Tuesday, May the 2nd. It's time to take action. There's a lot of stuff going on that we're going to talk about today. All right, tent revivals, people are asking. June will be in Pennsylvania. August will be in Minnesota. September will be in New Hampshire. October, we're back to Texas on the ranch in Mount Pleasant. Our speaker system and our stage will be done by October, so look forward to that. And then we're looking at January, February, and March of making arrangements of Hawaii, Arizona, and California. Also tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, the next day, we'll have our 2 trips to Israel. We got 2 trips coming up this December, so we'll have that information out for you. People have already signed up for the Israel trip. We haven't even got it out yet. So that's people want to get back to Israel. All right, without further ado, Bo Polny and Andrew Sorchini are back. Wow, are things explosive in the world, guys?
It's
Absolutely.
been a very volatile market. People definitely need some guidance, because if you're following what is being manipulated in the markets, you're not getting the right message.
Yeah. We're at a point in time that we've talked about for the past year and a half, and we've always referenced this one date that Andrew's going to go to the beach, and he's not going to sell precious metals because he won't know where to source them, or the places where he's sourcing them, they won't know what to sell it for. Secondly, the prices will be jumping up every few minutes. And so, and will not know what to sell anything for. It's just going to be this massive void of time. Everything's going to come to a complete halt. And so we are at Passover season. There is a historic time point coming up. We've had Passover in April. There's a second Passover at 555. So this fifth, does something happen on the fifth? I don't know, but it's biblical. It's the second Passover. We got Pentecost showing up on May 25. And all I'm going to say is this: since we haven't seen silver explode vertical in April, we know that we're in Passover season. We're in the 50-year Jubilee. Something is about to blow. Looking at my chart patterns, all I'm saying is we are so close, it's crazy. I would tell you this: you've probably got no more than 2 weeks left into the middle of May. That's all I can say. And then it's game on. So something's about to go down here in May, and it's going to be historic. The better word is biblical.
It is going to be biblical. Before Andrew speaks about the manipulation, I just want to give everybody an update. I mentioned this when Clay was on a few minutes ago, but before the last show, eight U.S. regional banks are in a bloodbath as we speak. PacWest Bank, Western Alliance, Metropolitan Bank, Home Street Bank, Zions Bank, KeyCorp, Harbor One, and Citizens Financial.
It's amazing. I saw when I was at the gym this morning, they have all the TVs at the top, and they're almost all showing financial news. And they were saying that central banks are going to be tightening up over the next 18 months. And really, that's the time frame that I'm looking at, because that takes us right to the next election. And that's typically when people get uneasy. And when people are uneasy, then that's when they look for things that are going to help them feel more secure. And speaking mostly of financial security. But yesterday was a heck of a day, because silver was up almost $1 an ounce for the day. And that was on the news of First Republic Bank being seized by the government. And then quickly, JP Morgan, the devil, comes out of nowhere and purchases First Republic. And
Yep.
They're none other than the biggest manipulator of silver in the history of silver. And silver ended up in the negative yesterday, which for me was a blessing, because I had a lot of silver to order and I was given a second chance and did do so. And today it's up. It was a no-brainer.
Yep.
If your staff can quickly pop on page 68, Pastor Dave, we literally been talking about JP Morgan for a long time. First off, their logo is a piece of work. It's just, if you study the logos, like there's no coincidences on that. But this is biblical what's going on, right? They're trying to consolidate all the banks. So they want to wipe out all the smaller banks, and they want to consolidate all the smaller banks into the bigger banks. And then they're also trying to bring on a one world system, right? And that's great plan they might have, but they got a huge problem. God. Okay, what's written behind Pastor Dave? They have a huge problem, and it's called his glory. His glory is about to manifest, and we're about to witness Ecclesiastes 2, verse 26 fulfill. Okay, to the persons who please God, he gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. That's why we're here. We're trying to give you wisdom, knowledge, and then give you peace and happiness. But to the sinners, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth. That's what JP Morgan's doing. They're colluding, they're collaborating, they're gathering it all up, they're consolidating, they're putting it all together, only to hand over to the ones who please God. And it is coming. It is coming. And we are so close to the fulfillment of Daniel 2, verse 34. And a stone carved, and while you were watching, we're going to watch this play out. We are blessed to be here for such a time as this. We are going to watch the fall of the Babylonian money system, we're going to watch the fall of Mystery Babylon. And while you were watching, a stone carved out by no human hand, comes in and destroys the statue, that image that was prophesied by Daniel 2,500 years ago. All of this sounds incredibly impossible, and that's exactly where God operates.
It's happening right before our very eyes. You know, JP Morgan, it's like the Wizard of Oz, the curtain's being pulled back. You see all this news now and the lawsuits with Epstein and the emails and the ties and the lies that they weren't involved. And they want to hide that. And isn't it fascinating that they pick 6 banks, the number 6, to get everybody underneath? Like you said, Andrew, JP Morgan just jumps on that and gets it for pennies on the dollar.
It reminds me of something that you would see like in the Godfather movie, where the bosses of all the families are getting together and they're trying to coordinate the illusion that what they're doing isn't bad. And that's what we're seeing. And Chase, we didn't even have Chase Bank here in California until right after the last financial crisis. And we had a lot of Washington Mutual banks out here. And at the time, that was the second biggest bank failure in the history of the banking system. And Chase was the one that came in and took them over. Now we've got Chase on every single corner out here. And that's all part of the plan. Now this First Republic Bank is the second largest bank to fail. And I would be more surprised if there were no more failures than I would be when we see the failures that are going to happen. So it's not that we're wishing for this. It's just we knew this was coming. The writing's on the wall. And another thing I saw in all the television is recession talk and people needing to tighten their bootstraps. And eventually the people that do watch mainstream media are going to see so much of that to where they're just going to just follow. That's what they always do. When they wore the mask, they followed. When they got vaccinated, they followed. And if they're telling us that things are going to get tough and we're in a recession, they're going to follow and make that happen. We're here to give people the real story and show them how to protect themselves until ultimately we do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we survive this and end up stronger than ever.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when. I mean, these 8 banks that I just mentioned today are in. It's the headline is bloodbath.
Exactly. So if one of these days here, we're going to hear, like Bo says, probably in the next 2 weeks, gold will probably hit an all-time high. You'll see it on your television in the evening, and really, if gold hit 2,300 or 2,500 an ounce, it's nowhere near where it's headed eventually. It's just those are stepping stones to where we know that it's going to go. And most people out there are just going to be scratching their heads saying, wow, the writing was on the wall. Why didn't I invest? Why didn't I make that call? Why didn't I reach out to Andrew or one of his competitors and at least educate themselves on how easy this is and how it's not a permanent decision. When you do invest into gold and silver, you can pivot out of them and go back into greenbacks if you need to, or real estate, or eventually the stock market, which I think all 3 of us here are big fans of the stock market.
Yep.
In an up market, I think, but 2 out of 3. But a lot of wealth is built on the stock market, even though it's so heavily manipulated. And I feel a lot safer in stocks in an upward market than I do in crypto. But crypto is something that I do a little bit of as well.
Well, let me explain a little further. And the reason I would kind of not agree with you fully on the stock market issue, because the stock market could go to $100,000, okay, or points on the Dow, okay. And so I'm not disallowing that or disapproving that may not happen. Actually, it could happen. We could see the Dow go to 100,000 on the Dow. But here's the problem, okay. It's the canary in the coal mine, meaning it's the dollar. If the dollar crashes, and it's going to, okay, we've got the prophetic words of Kim Clement. We know through the prophets that the dollar is how they built Babylon, okay? They control the entire world on a paper-based, fraudulent money system created out of thin air, which means the stock market is a fraudulent money system created out of thin air. So if the dollar crashes, the Dow could go to 100,000, but to sell it, you're going to sell it into $1 that no one wants because Babylon fell. And so, yes, the stock market had its days. But what's about to happen when you see gold and silver moonshot, when they go vertical and never look back, and gold and the greatest bull market in human history manifests because Babylon fell. The money and everything it touched is going to go to pieces. Real estate's going to collapse by 50 minimum, more like 90% collapse into next summer, potentially on all real estate. That's going to happen. You're going to see the bond market, because the bond market blows up, because the bonds collapse, because there's no more mortgages, because you can't make mortgages. The banks that are holding the mortgages are gone. And, I'm not making this up. Study what happened at Pharaoh at the Red Sea. Once the Red Sea was closed, Pastor Dave, expand on this. But once that Red Sea was closed, there were no more bonds or slavery for Israel because Pharaoh was gone. The enemy was gone. He was no more.
Yep.
So the Bible talks about the mortal wound. It means death. So the evil is about to get the mortal wound that's written in Revelation, which means the enemy's gone. Yes, the mortal wound does come back. So we will see a resurrection of evil, and that will be the Antichrist system coming back in the future. That's why you want gold and silver, because gold and silver is you can hold it in your hand and you'll never need a third party to transact with. There's no intermediaries. It's literally you holding your coin. So gold and silver, Haggai 2 verse 8, are the ultimate money because they're God's money. The silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. But the mortal wound is about to happen to the beast system. Babylon's about to fall, and everything that it's touched becomes worthless or worth less. And no one's going to want to have, because they come to realize that what they're going to do is when the dollar collapses, there's only one thing the governments can do. And confirm this, Andrew, all they can do is print more money. Yep. So they're gonna turn the printing presses on like you've never seen before. Like you think you've seen money printing? No, you haven't seen money. We're in the quadrillions. The Dow might go to 100,000 because the printing press is going to go on so crazy that they're going to make so much money that you can't even imagine, because they're going to have to reinflate the markets, because Kim's prophetic words, Kim Clement, was we might, 20,000. We could see the Dow drop to 20,000. Look what happened today. The Dow was down, silver and gold are up. That's called decoupling. So you're seeing decoupling right now in the markets. And when the Dow plunges, okay, you're going to see the gold and silver just moonshot and break free. God's kingdom is birthed. Multi-year bull market just began. And the Dow can go whatever it wants afterwards, but the dollar just collapsed. It didn't go to zero, it collapsed. No one's going to want to hold that dollar anymore, okay, outside the country. You're going to go to other countries. They're not going to accept it as payment. They will accept your cryptocurrency as payment. Why? Because I can click a button and pay for a car in Germany, and they will accept this payment, but they're not going to accept the US dollar when it loses its status as the world's reserve currency. I can also mail them a couple pieces of gold and pick up a car as well too. But that's going to be the new money system. So the money system we use today is about to change forever. Forever. The way we transact is about to forever change. And we will return back to the gold standard. If you're one last thing on slide here, page 47, the money system on page 47 shows that what they did when Nixon took us off the gold standard in 71, the money supply went straight vertical. Because why? You can create money out of thin air. It's not attached to anything. This chart, the red chart, only shows you the year 2020. So we're in the quadrillions, okay? It's in the quadrillions. And when the money system flips and the glory manifests, it's going to come back to what it was in the 70s, which means it's a complete wipeout of that entire spike that happened for the past 50 years. And if you go to page 49, what you end up seeing is all the money that's ever been created is all balanced on gold and silver. It's all balanced on gold and silver. And so gold and silver will ultimately be the state, because when this money system fails, it always goes back to its origins. It goes back to where it began, to gold and silver. And page 48 basically shows you when the money system, when the dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency, you're going to see the real estate market take a 50% haircut minimum, more like 90%, because the 30-year mortgages go bye-bye. Okay, because there's nothing biblical about a 30-year mortgage. It's a death grip. Mortuary. It's a death grip. 30-year mortgages, 40 mortgages are going to go bye-bye. They will never be again. And that, therefore, to calculate a loan payment will be no more than 7 years, because that's biblical.
Right.
And for that reason, the pricing of homes is just going to plummet, because the banking system we know is going to fail. And look what's happening right in front of us with these banks. But it's the little banks that really, the big banks are buying up.
Yep.
And then it becomes biblical when God intervenes on the big banks. You see, the little banks, they're trying to buy them up, control them all. But when God intervenes, he's gonna take it to the big banks, the JP Morgans, the big ones. And when he takes it to them, everything changes.
You mentioned the canary in the coal mine. I mentioned this last time you guys were on. Whether you like Elon Musk or not, it doesn't matter. But he was asked by Tucker Carlson about the housing market and the crashing of the dollar. He said it wasn't the canary in the coal mine. He says the miners are already dead. 40% of the commercial market at that time, this was an interview with Tucker 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. He said 40% of the commercial market is already down, and it's plumbing. So everything you say is being backed, and it's literally happening.
That's actually what I'd heard yesterday as well from someone that I know that's in banking. They said that the JP Morgan swooping in and saving the day for First Republic actually is going to be a disaster for a lot of the commercial real estate that bank invests in. They're going to have to sell for a big haircut. And he just went on and on and on about it. I wish I could have just recorded it all, but he said, just in short, these consolidations are just going to destroy the real estate market.
Wow.
It's so like Bo said, back in 2008 and after, in the financial crisis, that was a period where they printed like the most money that they'd ever printed until now. But what that did was that actually extended the upward cycle of the stock market to about 13 years. And it usually doesn't last for more than 7 or 8 years, but it went for 13 years because it was propped up by this funny money. So that was just something I thought of when you were talking about that.
That's exactly correct. Thank you for pointing it out, because basically we are still in the crash of 2008. But basically, when you can create money, remember, we live in it's a world of smoke and mirrors. Okay, the money system is a fraud. That's the thing, right? When you can create something out of thin air, it has no value. But yet the world chases it to go to work every day and acquire it to go pay bills all the time. And see, so the world is chasing money. And biblically, Pastor Dave, you can't serve two masters, right? It's not but if every day you have to go to work to acquire money, to pay for an electric bill, to put gas in your car, to pay your electric meter, to pay your utility bills, to pay your phone bill, and then to pay your mortgage, and then your car payments, you're chasing money. You see, and if you're chasing money, then why did Moses, when he went to Pharaoh, let my people go so they can go and come in the wilderness and worship me? But if you're chasing money, there's no time to go to the wilderness to worship God. You see, God's a jealous God. He wants you to worship him, but that's not happening because everybody is chasing money. And so the world is so hypnotized about the money system right now. They're so hypnotized that that's all the most the world thinks about is just, to take care of the financial means that people have. And so Satan has deceived the world to chase a money system that's created. People, think about this. The money is created out of thin air. It's backed by nothing. The only backing is faith and confidence. And the faith and confidence comes in the military power of the United States. But look what's happening with the United States. It's fully captured and corrupt by the administration right now. Fully, okay? And then the worst part of this is the faith and confidence is backed in a petrodollar that had a contract with the United States in 1973 with Saudi Arabia for the petrodollar. But in August 24th of 2021, after Kabul fell, Saudi Arabia is like, wait a second here. We got a contract with that country that literally abandoned everybody in Kabul. So they go 9 days later, sign a military contract with Russia, who's now the boogeyman, right? So they sign a contract with Russia. So there's no more petrodollar. So there's no more petro in the dollar. It's backed by nothing, and an administration that's corrupt beyond means or evil beyond means. How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night? But if you hold Haggai 2, verse 8, God's money, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord, I think you're probably sleeping extremely well. And I'm sure Andrew can attest to that. The people that call him, what do they say, Andrew? Once their gold and silver arrives, how do they feel? What are they telling you?
Oftentimes what they do is they go, okay, I've got it. I've got my bucket of silver coins. I've got a stack of gold coins. Now what do I do? And it's so funny every time it happens, but it's such a great question. And I tell them, just look at it, appreciate what it is, pack it back up in the box, put it away. Then one of these days, you're going to hear that gold and silver have reached new highs. Then you're going to go and dig it out, and you're going to look at it, and you're going to appreciate what you did. You're going to give yourself a big pat in the back, and you're probably, because you're a human being like all of us, you're going to wish that you got more than you had.
Yep.
And that's always what happens. It's just the nature of us as humans. But it's not going to change your life when it arrives. You're still the same person you were before it got here, but you have something that is a more tangible, a more safe asset, not just here, but anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So I go back again, as of today, if a year and a half ago, when we start talking about what was going to happen and it's happening today, if people would have bought silver when we first started talking about, they'd be up 31%.
It's amazing. Well, I think the last purchase that Bo did with us was back in October or November, and silver was like $18.50 an ounce.
Yeah, no, I think we nailed the exact bottom when I called you. I think it's the bottom right here, based on cycles. So I loaded up with you.
That's not bad. So Bo, I think you can do better than 40% in 6 months. So that's pretty darn good.
But see, but again, to me, it's even irrelevant, because right now, like, I'm going to probably calling you. Actually, I will be calling you this afternoon. So take my call, but I want to put another. My point is, because it's irrelevant, because when this thing goes, Andrew, it's going to go to $60 to $70 in a single day. Okay. And that's just the warm up for 3-digit silver, for $100, for $200, for $300. Okay. So it doesn't matter what you're buying it at. To me, it's completely irrelevant. It's just a matter of, is it in my possession, or is it safely stored for me? Because that's kind of like, I don't try to take possession of too much. I don't want to always store it. But the point is, am I in direct control of it? Because I don't care what I buy it for, because I know where it's going. See, that's the thing, right? I know where it's going. There's two immense things that are about to happen, okay? The first thing is the release from bondage, okay? So release from slavery. It's no different. It's no different than what happened at the Red Sea. When that sea closed, that was the Exodus. Read it. It's biblical. There was no one to bother Israel anymore on the other side. Pharaoh was gone. And then all the nations feared the God of Israel from that day forward. That was the Exodus. Pastor Dave, you've had several prophets on your show. I know one specifically, Julie Green. She's referenced the word great Exodus. Okay. Yep. Well, why? Because the cycles foretell it coming. You've got Israel was in bondage for 400 years. The Mayflower landed 400 years ago. And that would have been 2020. Then you do 3.5 years, 1,260 days forward from precisely the Mayflower's landing. And what do you get? June 25 of this year. So whatever's about to happen is going to go down in the next 2 months. Daniel's cycle of time expires on the 25th of June, and that leads us into incredible summer. So God is going to release resources. A prophetic word that I just got from Donna Clement is a prophetic word from Kim Clement that was 12 or I think 13 years ago. And it correlates directly with what's supposed to happen in the summer. In the summer, we're going to have, there's going to be a massive earthquake happening this summer. For those who want to hear the interview, it's on my YouTube channel. You can go to listen to it. It's the interview I'm going to post this afternoon with Donna Clement. And I'll send it over to you, Pastor Dave, as well, too, if you want to post it. But the prophetic word that's about to go down in the summer, I can't even use the word summer, is there's going to be a massive earthquakes or multiple or whatever, however, whether it's one or many. And that earth is going to release its produce. It's going to release an energy that has been hidden in the earth for millions of years. We're about to see that happen this summer. So something, and because why would it make sense? Because we're stepping into a new era, right? When Babylon falls, everything changes in the new kingdom. And in a godly kingdom, very simple. There's two things. Bondage goes away, same as Pharaoh. And then he left with all the gold and silver. They were blessed financially. So you got blessings. You got released from bondage and you got blessings. And those are the two things that are coming. And blessings are 30, 60, 100-fold. Multiply that on silver. First off, damages, easy $150 to $200 silver in a heartbeat is going to come because those are damages and those are to be paid immediately. Then you got 30, 60, 100-fold. So $600, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 silver is coming and not far away. This year, next year, I don't care. It is coming. And it's going to be so immense. Because why? When God made the earth, he made it for his children that were made in his image, not for Satan. Satan came on the earth and he stole our inheritance. He stole our inheritance. And it's interesting, and go from here, but this is kind of interesting. I just came to realize that if you study Genesis 4, verses 5 through 7, it says, Cain became very angry, and the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? You realize he was Rothschild. He was a child, Rothschild. Rothschild. The Rothschilds are the seed of Cain. The Rothschilds have stolen our birthright, our inheritance. They've stolen it.
Yep.
This goes back to the Garden of Eden. So Deuteronomy, we are to be the lenders to the nations, not the slaves, the debtors. The evil has flipped the tables on the church, on God's creation, and has tricked us. Because what does Satan do? He lies, he steals, he's a thief, he kills, he destroys. And that's the world we live in. But God, his glory is about to manifest. And the next 3.5 years, beginning this August onward, are going to be just miraculous.
Right. So before I put it back to Andrew and why they need to take action now, again, to let his glory family know, why is this happening? It's not our love for money or love for silver or love for gold. It's because he's bringing it back to the body, his bride, his remnant bride, so that we can have the greatest revival in the history of the world, so that we can bring in all the souls, that we have every resource we need to reach every single person on the face of the earth. That's what it's for.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
So people can reach out to us by going to bh-pm.com. Just fill out the form and put in your name, first name, last name, email address. If you're looking to roll over a retirement account, you can put that in there. It's just amazing what we've been able to accomplish here through what I call the real news now.
Right. So, Andrew, tell everybody what downside would there be for anybody to get silver or gold? I can't think of one other than physically lifting the box and putting it somewhere.
and that's a real concern sometimes. So for those people, having offsite storage is a possibility, and they can reach out to us. We do use a depository for storage, but just I can't see any downside because to me, let's say that somebody got really scared and they just said, okay, I'm going to convert 80% of my savings into gold and silver. The worst thing that could happen is that a couple of years go by and we've gone through a rocky time. We've seen stocks crash, we've seen real estate crash, and things are starting to get better. And you've got your gold and silver, and you can just convert it back into cash. All you did was just change one kind of currency into another type, and you can change it back anytime you want. It's like breaking a $100 bill into 5 $20 bills. It really is just a conversion. It's not a purchase. So,
right.
So,
I think people get wrapped up in their mind that it's a purchase instead of a conversion. And it's a conversion it's made by God. It's safe. And I go back to Robert Kiyosaki, because he was on a warpath again last week saying, it's God's money, it's God's money. And he was saying, don't get the silver or gold certificates. They stink. That was his exact words. Get the physical silver and gold.
It's absolutely true. And if people out there talk to anybody that they know that is born in another country that now lives here, people that might be from like Asia or the Middle East, they value gold a lot better than we do, because they've experienced many more hardships than we have. In even as recently as the last 100 or 200 years, we've had it so good here that the idea of going out of this fiat currency that we're so used to carrying around in favor of gold just seems like an odd idea, especially when you can now pay for things with Venmo and digital currency. So it's like, it seems like a foreign concept, and it's something that people should do. You should, even if you hate it, you should have about 15 or 20% of your portfolio in gold and silver as a just in case type of investment.
And it's not just out of your cash. You can roll over IRAs and 401ks and stuff like that too.
Exactly. And right now is just a really great time to do that, because we've seen a choppy stock market, and it has recovered a little bit somewhat. And this would be a good opportunity for people that didn't exit the stock market before to do so now. And after recouping some of the profits that they were actually down at some point, and go into gold and silver. And then after we make it through this mess, and after the financial crisis that we're really in right now is done, and we start to come out the other side, that would be a good time to scale out of your gold and silver and into some of the other investments like real estate or stocks or even Bitcoin.
Now, are you seeing more people buy gold now than ever?
I am, because the people that invest into silver are people that, like Bo said, and I love that line. I tell people all the time, I go, look, if silver was $18 last November and it's 25.5 now, because you're not investing in silver based on what it's priced at today. You're investing in it based on where you know in your mind that it's going to go at some point in the near future. It doesn't matter if it's $50 an ounce, $100 an ounce, $600 an ounce, or $1,000 an ounce. But wherever you believe that it should be, that's in your mind what you should be investing in silver at. But you need to give it time to do so. And for some people right now, they're very scared. They want to get their money out of the banks. So to answer your question, Pastor Dave, directly, those people are taking large amounts of cash out of the bank and putting it into gold, which to me is a great store of value. I never heard the term store of value so much as I did when Bitcoin first came out. And I don't think Bitcoin is a store of value. I think it's just another investment. It's still kind of the wild, wild west. It's very volatile. I have it, and I've invested in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for like 6 years. But to me, it's not a store of value. A store of value is where you could park some of your wealth and not have it lose any great value, and potentially maybe even not have it gain any great value, and just store it there until you need to access it again to make a new investment. And that's what we're seeing people do. So when we hear people talk about the dollars flowing into gold, that's usually what it is. It's more to protect what they have and not so much a speculative investment. Okay. Would you agree, Bo?
What I can say about this, from a biblical perspective, okay, to me, it's not about what it is today. From a biblical perspective, I look, into the time windows into the future. The dollar itself, by the end of this decade, will be worth zero. So who cares what the stock market's worth? It'll be worth zero too. That's what's coming, okay? It's not going to go to zero overnight. It's going to get a haircut, probably 30% haircut. Then in a few years down the road, another 30% haircut. And then that's going to work its way to zero into the end of this decade. Okay. Gold and silver. So people now, at to say this, I'm going to answer this question. A lot of people, I read comments sometimes, people will say, hey, when do I sell my gold and silver? Well, like I said earlier, the way we transact is about to change forever. So those that ask that question are not living in the future, they're living in the now, right? So, they're used to like buying an investment and then selling it back into the dollar to transact back in the dollar. But that's not going to be the option, or you're never going to want to do that again, because when the dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency, you're not going to want to sell your precious metal back into the dollar that's worth less. Get it? It's not going to have the value it has today. It will no longer be the world reserve currency. So why would you want to take the number one asset in the world, gold and silver, and convert it into a fake paper money system? You're not going to want to. And when you go to the grocery store, well, how am I going to transact? Well, guess what? The grocery store is going to accept your silver as payment for the food that you just bought, and it will give you exchange in paper. So whatever you bought, you'll get change. No different than now, but the stores will know the value of precious metals. The way we transact is about to change forever. So I can only repeat that, I don't know how many times, but when we're going to see 45 return this year, people are going to talk about the election in 2024. There's no election in 2024. He's going to return this year, because when the dollar crashes, you're going to have a builder. Christ was a builder. He was a carpenter. Okay. You're going to have the builder come back and rebuild what God destroyed. When his glory manifests, Babylon falls. Millions, billions of people need to transact. So we're going to have to rebuild a money system. But the money system is going to be built. It's going to be built back on honesty, on honest ledger, on gold and silver. And that's why cryptocurrencies ultimately are open ledgers, open blockchain, right? So you get to see transactions. So it becomes an honest money system. So the way we transact today is about to change forever. You're going to be going to grocery stores, department stores, and you're going to be buying things using precious metals you bought from Andrew or wherever dealer you bought them from. And that's how this is going to play out. And we're going to, when the 45 returns, he's going to return the United States back to the gold standard. He's going to undo what Nixon temporarily, is what he stated, temporarily did in 71. So the United States is going to come back, and the covenant nation will be restored. The evil United States, which is now fully captured and corrupt, become some mystery Babylon across the world. That empire falls, and a new is born, back to the way it was founded with the founding fathers. Covenant nation, honoring the 10 commandments and the word of God. And this is going to be the one, and the evil will never, ever come back to the United States again, to the degree that they'll never capture the United States again, ever. Because what? Let's look at history. They feared the God of Israel on the other side of the Red Sea. Every nation feared it. So they may bring wars and rumors of wars, but they're going to fear the God of the United States and Israel.
It's coming. You mentioned about, transaction. It's kind of like when you go to Israel and you pay in US dollars, they give you shekels back. You're exactly right. That's what's going to happen.
Yes.
I've heard of 2 builders in the last 2 weeks that are taking silver and gold as payments on building commercial projects. And I don't know if they do residential, but they're builders. So more and more of that's happening.
Yeah. Coming.
Amazing. Andrew, I know you got to run. Any closing remarks that you want to action items for the audience? Because there's a short window for this to really get a good deal.
Yeah, I just want to repeat one more time before Andrew says something here, just Andrew going from here. But basically, I'm telling you, we're in Passover season. There's another Passover coming up, May 5. God's not going to be mocked. We're going to see the great exodus, a worldwide exodus from the financial system. And it's going to come. It's coming. It's going to be here by the end of June. I believe the next by the middle of May. I think it's game on. Everything's about to flip, just like what happened, when Jesus walked into the temple and flipped the tables and the money changers. So expect something insane about to go down, and we are this close. Continue, Andrew.
Oh yeah, it's people that invest in gold and silver tend to be more active in a volatile market. And this exact market, especially the last 24 hours, by definition, is high volatility.
Yep.
And this isn't the stagnant market that we had when we had Donald Trump as president, when we felt like we could take a deep breath, everything was going to be okay. And that market for gold and silver was very, very sideways. We're not seeing that right now. So there still is gold and silver available. The wait times are not as long as they're going to be here in the near future. And really, gold is just one big day, just one good day away from cracking a new all-time high. And with what we have on our plate right now, especially with the banks having a lot of trouble, more banks are going to fail here. It could end up being more than 100 banks. I think last time was a couple of hundred banks, most of them small. So you're going to want to be in physical, tangible assets, portable wealth, like we like to call it. So reach out soon, at least to educate yourself as to whether or not this could be good for you. And if so, what percentage of your net worth.
Yep. And I don't know, I'm not a financial guy, but me personally, I was always around 25, 30%, but I'm going 60, 70% now because I know it's happening. So that's up to each individual person. I like what Bo and Andrew both say about it. Pray about it before you make a decision. Pray, let the Lord give you guidance.
That's the thing, right? I don't want to give financial advice to anybody. Like if what we're saying on this podcast sounds crazy, you're like Bo and Andrew and Pastor Dave, they don't know what they're talking about because then that's fine. Then you don't even listen to us. It's just if what we're saying resonates with your heart and it feels right, maybe you should listen to your heart. But all I'm doing is giving you reference biblical scriptures, biblical timelines, biblical things that could happen based on history. If you don't study history, you'll never know the future, period. So this is not financial advice. This is just literally, we're telling you what we feel in our heart is the truth and what's coming. If you think it doesn't make sense, that's your choice. Because all of the world is in this place because of one thing, free will. We all have the choice to choose whom we serve.
And if you don't think it's crazy enough, I was told this morning that it is official. So maybe you can confirm this, that if you have a 720 or higher credit score under this executive order on the Biden administration, you're going to lose 1% on your mortgage. And if you're below, you're going to get below, I think it was at 620, you get 1.5. I knew they were playing around with that, but if that's not crazy, I don't know what is. Penalizing somebody for doing financially things right and giving to somebody that has not. We're in a mixed up world.
Biblically, again, back to scriptures, right? We're to be in this world, not of it. Okay.
Yep.
So who cares? The point is ultimately when the financial Babylon falls, you're not going to care about your FICO scores and stuff like that, because basically you'll be positioned in a place that you don't need any of that. Okay. And ultimately there will be people on the back end, right? The mortal wound, the evil system falls. But then if you read Revelation, the beast is healed, the mortal wound is healed, right? And some people are so fixated on this world, they can't let it go. Okay. Right. And they're in the future going to want it to come back so bad that they're going to want this world. And that's like the delineation, right? Some people, it's going to be like that line of sand. People are going to be either leaving the cities and not wanting being part of the world. And others are just going to be fixated on it. And because ultimately, the wheat will rise with the tares, and it's for Christ's return and the angels to separate the wheat and the tares at harvest.
Amen.
That's what's coming in.
We're there. Yeah, we're living literally in biblical times. It's the greatest time in the history of the world to be alive if you participate. And that's all this we talk about is for his kingdom glory. It's for his glory. It's to preach the gospel from east to west to north to south, to get everyone the gospel of Jesus Christ before the coming. And that's what we do it for. Thank you both.
Thanks for having us. See you soon.
See you soon. God bless. And that wraps up today's Take 5. God bless you and go in his shalom.